Tonight, you sat down and ate a meal. Maybe it came in a box. Maybe it was delivered to your door. Maybe you heated it up in under 2 minutes. And you didn't think once about where it came from. But for almost all of human history, that meal would have been the most dangerous thing you did all day. Your ancestors didn't shop. They hunted. They dug. They tasted things they weren't sure were safe. And what they ate didn't just fuel their bodies. It shaped their brains, their teeth, their guts, their immune systems. It shaped you. So what did early humans actually eat? The real answer is far stranger and far more complicated than anything you've been told. Start here. Forget the image of the prehistoric caveman gnawing on a giant leg of meat. That picture is almost entirely wrong. Paleoanthropologist Richard Wrangham at Harvard spent decades studying early human diets, and what he found rewired our understanding of who we are. The single most transformative event in human dietary history wasn't hunting. It wasn't farming. It was fire. Around 1.8 million years ago, something remarkable happened. Homo erectus, your ancient ancestor, began cooking food. Before fire, a hominid had to spend roughly 6 hours a day just chewing. Raw food is dense, fibrous, hard to break down. Fire changed everything. Cooked food releases far more calories per gram. It's easier to digest. It requires less gut to process. And that freed up something astonishing: energy for a bigger brain. Your brain runs on about 20% of your body's total caloric budget. That's an enormous metabolic cost. Without cooked food, your ancestors couldn't have sustained it. So in a very real sense, fire didn't just warm your ancestors, it built your mind. But let's go back even further. Before fire, before Homo erectus, into the deep past, when your lineage was just beginning to diverge from other great apes. Around 2.5 million years ago, the climate of East Africa began to shift. Forests contracted, grasslands expanded, and the creatures living in those forests, your ancestors, had to adapt or disappear. They began eating something new, something they had never needed to rely on before: meat. Not because they were aggressive apex predators. Early hominids were small, slow, and almost certainly more prey than predator. What they were was clever. They discovered scavenging. A pride of lions brings down a zebra and eats its fill. Your ancestors waited. Then they moved in fast, using stone tools, the oldest of which, discovered at Lomekwi in Kenya, date back 3.3 million years, to crack open bones that even hyenas couldn't access. Inside was something rich, dense, and full of fat: bone marrow. Bone marrow and brain tissue from scavenged carcasses may have been among the first animal foods your lineage consumed regularly. Not steaks, not roasts. Marrow sucked out of shattered bones on a sun-baked African plain. Researcher Leslie Aiello, working alongside Peter Wheeler, proposed what became known as the expensive tissue hypothesis. The idea is elegant. As hominids began eating richer, more calorie-dense food, meat, fat, marrow, their guts could shrink. Digesting raw plant matter requires a long, energy-hungry digestive tract. Eat richer food, need less gut. And with the energy saved from maintaining that gut, the brain could grow. Over millions of years, that trade-off compounded. Your gut is unusually short for a primate your size. Your brain is unusually large. Those two facts are not a coincidence. But meat wasn't everything. Not even close. The image of ancient humans as pure carnivores is one of the great myths of popular prehistory. Studies of stable isotopes in ancient hominid teeth, a technique that reads the chemical fingerprints of diet preserved in enamel, consistently show that early humans ate an enormous variety of plant foods: tubers, seeds, fruits, leaves, bark. The ratio shifted depending on geography, season, and climate. Near coastlines, shellfish and fish became critical. In forests, insects, larvae, and honey were hunted with serious effort. On open grasslands, underground storage organs, what we now call tubers and corms, were a dietary staple even before meat. Anthropologist Richard Lee spent years studying the Kongsan people of the Kalahari Desert, one of the most studied contemporary hunter-gatherer groups on Earth. His findings shattered assumptions. Even in one of the harshest environments on the planet, Roughly 60 to 80% of calories came from plant foods, primarily gathered by women. Hunting, despite its prestige, was unreliable. A skilled hunter might go days or even weeks without a successful kill. The plants were always there. This matters enormously, because when people today talk about eating like our ancestors, they almost always mean eating more meat. And that's only half the picture, and arguably the smaller half. Think about what was actually available on a given day, in a give.